Hey everyone, my name is Dillon Gonzalez. I am a senior critic for GeekVibesNation.com and also a co-host of the Home Dance Film Festival podcast. I am here once again today to discuss one of my favorite home entertainment labels, ClassicFlix. Now today's episode is a little bit more time sensitive than usual because I've been told by the label that they have reached the end of one of their licensing agreements with MGM and some of their key titles are now out of print, which means whatever stock is now left in the wild is all that's going to be printed. So I'm going to use today's episode to tell you which titles are no longer in print and kind of give you some highlights on some of the titles I think you should pick up before they are gone completely. So I will just start out by telling you what is no longer going to be available. There is Along Came Jones, Casanova Brown, Crime of Passion, Down Three Dark Streets, Five Steps to Danger, He Walked by Night, and by virtue of the fact that this is also in the John Alton 3-pack collection on the site, that collection is also going out of print. There's also The Killer is Loose, The Noose Hangs High, Tomorrow is Forever, and finally one title I don't have in my possession, and that is the complete series of this show called It's About Time that's out on DVD. And that is from the creator of Gilligan's Island and the Brady Bunch. And that is about two astronauts who get caught in kind of a time jet stream and get transported back to prehistoric times and meet a couple of cavemen, and they go on some like wacky adventures. That is my understanding of the series. So yes, some of these titles I have covered before previously, either on previous videos or as reviews on GeekVibesNation.com. So I will give you just a quick refresher on those titles that are not new to my audience at least. On a previous video I talked about Along Came Jones with Gary Cooper and Loretta Young. This one's a pleasant western in which Gary Cooper plays a man who with a mistaken identity who comes into town, and there's a bounty on this person's head and he gets mistaken for him, and there's him coming into his own as like a reluctant hero. Then there is Crime of Passion, which is a pretty decent drama with Barbara Stanwyck, in which she plays a working woman who gets married to Sterling Hayden, and once she is a housewife, she realizes she doesn't want to be a housewife, and then it adds up to some deadly consequences when she gets a little bit bored. Then there is the pretty fun Abbott and Costello comedy, The Noose Hangs High, which just basically is the duo getting involved with some thugs, and it kind of recycles a lot of their classic bits into like one nice packaging. And then there is Tomorrow is Forever, with Claudette Colbert and Orson Welles, in which Orson Welles plays a man who went to war and was presumably thought to be dead, and then he actually returns years later with a reconstructed face and ingratiates himself into his old life with people not knowing exactly who he is. So those are titles I've covered previously, but now I want to highlight a few titles that I haven't been able to speak about previously. Now the first title I want to cover from this fresh batch of titles, for me at least, is Casanova Brown with Gary Cooper. I just mentioned that he really charmed me in Along Came Jones, and this is another kind of charming movie. In this movie, he co-stars with Teresa Wright, who he previously had starred in Pride of the Yankees, so it's a bit of a reunion for them, and it's also the same director as that. This also features Frank Morgan, who's probably most famous for playing the Wizard in The Wizard of Oz. But this one, I had a good time with it. It involves Gary Cooper playing, it starts with him as kind of like a man who's nervous about marrying this woman, and you kind of are unsure of what exactly is the issue. But then you learn that he has just learned that he is a new father, and he has this history with a woman in his past, played by Teresa Wright. And you kind of get flashbacks as to what happened and why that original engagement did not work out originally. And there's a lot of kind of like hijinks, and it goes to some pretty interesting places involving kidnapping near the end of the movie, which I think with just a few good conversations probably could have been worked out a little bit more quickly. But nevertheless, for this type of movie, Gary Cooper really plays the character well. It develops in an interesting way, and overall, I think this is a pretty solid movie that is worth a watch if you are a Gary Cooper fan, for sure. The next movie I want to talk about is Down Three Dark Streets, which is a fairly compelling, like pretty straightforward crime drama. It involves, at the beginning of the movie, an FBI agent is killed, and the agent, played by Broderick Crawford, who comes in to investigate, who people might know from All the King's Men. He knows that it could be connected to one of 3 cases that he was working on. So he's kind of like in parallel modes investigating these 3 different cases that might lead him to figure out who killed his partner. And one of these cases involves Ruth Roman, right here, who some may know from... I just discovered her last year in the Warner Archive release of The Window, which was like a forgotten like RKO picture that was pretty enjoyable. She is also in Strangers on a Train from Alfred Hitchcock, which is of course be the more famous title. But this one, I had a good time with it. Like I said, it's a pretty straightforward like investigative drama, but Broderick Crawford does a really good job in the lead role. All 3 cases are like realistic enough to be compelling, but not like so unbelievable that you just kind of tune out because it's so out of bounds. But yeah, this one, I really enjoyed it. Three Dark Streets. If you like crime dramas, it's pretty good. Speaking of Ruth Roman, got to get a double dose of her in 5 Steps to Danger, which is basically kind of like that classic paranoia plot with like espionage. Ruth Roman is she plays a woman who is believed to have some information that could be key to some like military acts and like secrets that could really crack open the Cold War. This was like in the height of the Cold War era. And Sterling Hayden here once again, who some may know from The Asphalt Jungle or Dr. Strangelove. He plays a man who, he's just kind of like, not a drifter, but he's just like making his way across the country on his own. But then he picks up the hitchhiking Ruth Roman, who along the way, he hears tale that she might be like mentally unstable, from some people who may or may not have her best interest in mind. So basically this is like I said, like a paranoia tale of a woman who's trying to be like portrayed to be unstable, who has information, and the guy who has to decide if he's going to go along with her and his new like relationship with her, or kind of turn her in for his like own self-interest. So overall, this is like a quick 80-minute runtime, so it doesn't really drag itself out. It's nicely paced, and yeah, I had fun with it. It was a really good time. The next one is one that I liked decently. It's a public domain title that's been given a nice special edition from ClassicFlix, and that is He Walked by Night, which is one of the 3 films in the John Alton collection. One of the other 2 films is one that I have reviewed on the site that is not going out of print independently, like as a solo release, and that is T-Men, which is also a really pretty good movie. This release comes with a nice booklet and a nice array of special features. It's pretty extensive. Got some nice photo reproductions. Got an essay. And this release also comes with an audio commentary. It's directed by Alan L. Worker, but nope, Alfred L. Worker. My apologies. I'm trying to remember all this off the top of my head. But it does. It also said to have an uncredited directorial choices from Anthony Mann, which is a lot of fun. My main issue with this. Okay, so just the basic plot is this one follows at the beginning of the film, there is a cop killed by a man. So you know who the killer is throughout the whole time, but the police are trying to like track down this cop killer. And it's kind of like a step-by-step tracing of the clues to this man. My main issue with this is the same issue I had with T-Men, which is there's kind of an overbearing narrator, kind of like holding your hand throughout the whole movie. But other than that, the core case itself, it's interesting just to see like these hard-boiled detectives trying to avenge their fallen officer. So it's a good movie. If you are interested in this and T-Men, I would recommend the John Alton collection, which also includes the movie Raw Deal, which I have not had the chance to watch yet, but with the strength of these two movies as a whole, I think it would be worth getting the whole collection if you are interested. And I heard that has some pretty low stock at the moment, so I would recommend jumping on that sooner rather than later. And then the final film that I wanted to go more in depth on is one of my favorites of this batch, and that is The Killer is Loose, with Joseph Cotton, Rhonda Fleming, and Wendell Corey. Some may know Joseph Cotton most famously from Citizen Kane, and then Wendell Corey. I know him mostly from the recent Criterion Collection release of The Furies. He was also in Rear Window. And Rhonda Fleming, also another Hitchcock, she was in Spellbound. So this movie it starts out as like a bank robbery picture, and it's kind of like an inside job that goes wrong. And in the course of arresting the person who is responsible for this bank robbery, someone close to them dies, and then this person from prison vows to get revenge if he ever gets out of prison, and then a prison break happens, and so hence The Killer is Loose. This, once again, it's not very long. It's 73 minutes, but it packs a lot of really great information within that 73 minutes. And Wendell Corey plays kind of a really good, like, unsettling figure as he stalks people and tries to get that revenge that he vows that he's going to get. So, once again, I think this is a really strong, like, nicely paced, kind of like noir, like criminal thriller. It's a really good movie, and I would highly recommend it. So yeah, once again, all of these films are now out of print at ClassicFlix. So if you are interested at all, please do not hesitate to pick these up. They are all reasonably priced at ClassicFlix right now. You can also find them at other various outlets, but they are not price gouging you right now. So I would pick them up before they get like extravagantly priced, because these are some really interesting movies, and since they are kind of smaller titles, you're never sure if another label is going to pick these up. And these are all pretty great releases. They all have been restored, especially the 5 Steps to Danger has been restored from the original camera negative. All of them look great to various degrees. Sometimes there's still a little bit of age to the print, but like overall are some really nice restorations. So yes, please pick these up if you have any interest. ClassicFlix is a great label, and they deserve your support. And I appreciate you taking time to watch this video, and if you like this, please let me know in the comments. Please give it a like. Tell people who you might think would want to see these movies that this might be their last chance to own them in a high definition format. And yeah, please let me know what you would like to see me speak about in the future. I appreciate you tuning in, and thank you.